New tensions are emerging in the Middle East following reports of military exchanges involving the United States and Iran, raising fresh questions about regional stability, global shipping, and the future of recent diplomatic efforts. According to Iranian officials, recent U.S. military strikes against facilities near the Strait of Hormuz violated the Memorandum of Understanding announced during earlier negotiations. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, says it responded by targeting U.S. military assets in the region, although the full extent of any damage has not been independently verified. The U.S. military has presented a different account. U.S. Central Command stated that its forces struck Iranian missile, drone, and radar sites, describing the operation as a defensive response to threats against commercial shipping. American officials argue that Iran's actions in the Strait of Hormuz endangered international navigation and required a military response. Iran disputes that explanation. Iranian leaders maintain that the Memorandum of Understanding gave Tehran a central role in coordinating maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Based on that interpretation, Iranian officials say vessels should follow routes approved by Iranian authorities and warn that ships ignoring those instructions risk interception. One recent incident involving a commercial vessel has become a focal point of the dispute. Iranian officials say the vessel used an unauthorized route and therefore violated the agreement. U.S. officials reject that interpretation, arguing that international shipping should remain free from Iranian control. As a result, both governments continue to accuse one another of violating the understanding. Another issue attracting attention is the timing of recent U.S. military operations. Some political commentators have argued that the strikes occurred after U.S. financial markets closed on Friday, raising speculation that officials wanted to minimize immediate market volatility. However, there is no public evidence confirming that market considerations influenced the timing of the military operation, and the U.S. government has not stated that financial markets played any role in its decision-making. Even so, investors continue watching developments closely. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most important energy corridors, carrying a significant share of global oil exports. Any disruption to shipping through the region could have consequences for energy markets, inflation, and the broader global economy. Meanwhile, diplomatic disagreements are also growing. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently visited several Gulf nations as the United States continues discussions with regional partners. His trip has generated debate after he described the Memorandum of Understanding as a framework for future negotiations, rather than a final agreement containing every detailed provision. Iranian officials strongly disagree with that characterization. Tehran argues that the memorandum is already binding, and that both sides are obligated to follow its provisions immediately. That difference in interpretation remains one of the central obstacles preventing progress toward a broader diplomatic settlement. Attention has also shifted to Lebanon. The United States announced support for a new framework intended to reduce hostilities between Israel and Lebanon. Israeli officials say the proposal is designed to improve long-term security along the border. However, Hezbollah was not part of those discussions and has rejected the framework. Iranian officials have also criticized the proposal, arguing that any lasting ceasefire must address Israeli military operations in southern Lebanon. The disagreement has fueled new protests inside Lebanon, where demonstrations have taken place following reports about the proposed security arrangements. Beyond military developments, concerns are also growing about the economic consequences of continued instability. Financial analysts warn that prolonged uncertainty in the Middle East could affect shipping costs, energy prices, and inflation worldwide. Businesses, investors, and governments are closely monitoring developments in the Strait of Hormuz, because disruptions there could have ripple effects across global supply chains. At the same time, political debate inside the United States continues over foreign policy, military strategy, and domestic economic priorities. Critics argue that Washington should focus more heavily on inflation, housing affordability, and economic concerns at home, while supporters of the administration say maintaining regional security remains an essential national interest. As both governments continue exchanging accusations over the Memorandum of Understanding, prospects for renewed diplomacy remain uncertain. For now, military activity, competing interpretations of recent agreements, and growing regional tensions continue to shape one of the world's most closely watched geopolitical flashpoints. You're listening to our National Affairs Bulletin. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more national and international news throughout the day.